he was threatened. He was told that he must keep out of the area because it was a threat to national security. Now, here in New Zealand, there is a land ownership case being fought between certain Maori people and certain Pākehās, the European, saying that they were the first people in New Zealand, therefore the land is theirs and they have certain rights. And that's it's not so much a racial thing as I guess a land claim.
A possession thing, yeah.
Possession thing, that's right. And the head of the Tiroa Archaeological Advisory Committee, who was a Maori, was heard to exclaim, "That's 1,000 years before we got here." And it caused quite a stir among his own people. Now, Gary Cook, who lives up this way, tried without success to get a copy of the archaeological report. And he went to a man that was usually appointed by the government to access grievances from the public. They call them I don't just say it in America, but they call them an ombudsman here.
Ombudsman, yes.
Yeah, right. And so the ban was removed, but even after the ban was removed, another man that lives up this way, Dennis Welch, a journalist for the New Zealand Listener magazine, which is a radio guide, he was politely told that he could not have resort to filming the old photographs even. Noel Hilliam, the curator of the museum, was warned to keep out of the area or his life would be in danger. So I guess there's certainly something going on here that you'd think would not be in this part of the world, so far away from the United States, because most of the action usually happens in the Northern Hemisphere. But the cover-ups are going on down here too.
All right. Yeah, that's a remarkable story, and I'm not sure if we'll both be around, Jonathan Gray, in 2063 to find out what's going on with that one.
That's right.
Tell me
the people involved will be safely out of the way by then.
That's why they do these things. It's the same thing with the Kennedy investigation, the assassination of John F. Kennedy. I mean, they muffled that information for years.
Yes. And if only we knew, this is going on all over the place somewhere, even at this moment somewhere probably.
Absolutely. Giant human remains found in Egypt. Tell me about that.
Yes. There's a lady, a friend of ours living over in New South Wales, who grew up in Egypt. Her family were French, but they were educated in Alexandria, and her father actually was a builder. He was building in a big apartment block. And, of course, the foundations for the apartment block had to go down further, rather deep, and they found themselves breaking into an ancient tunnel system. Now, in this tunnel system, there was big clay pots, probably about 4 or 5 feet, about 5 feet tall, and inside of these were bodies. And these were so huge. The shin bone was double the size of mine. In fact, all the bones were double the size. In other words, we're looking at people here who must have been about 12 feet tall.
Well, we've heard biblical accounts of this. This backs this up.
Yes. And, of course, it's not just there, but that's just one example because it's first-hand from my own experience here. They filled the whole place up eventually with concrete so they could keep building the structure, and they didn't report it to the government because it would have maybe delayed matters, and they were able to get their apartment building up over the top of it.
Well, what a discovery that would have been. So, and now it's buried under concrete.
That's right. People are living right above it now.
12. You know, what was it? Goliath. He was big. I wonder if Goliath was indeed a giant. I think he was.
Yes, I think so. Actually, on my wife's island, she comes from an island in the Pacific. They were burying her grandmother a few years ago, and when they dug down into the family plot, there was a leg bone which my wife's mother put beside her, and it came right up. It was just a shin bone, again. It came right up above her waist. So there was something pretty similar in size again.
Gosh, what remarkable discoveries. Electrical mechanical device found deep in an Australian coal deposit.
Yes. This happened actually in the Newcastle area of New South Wales. And it happened about, I'm not sure how deep it was. I think it was a depth of about 3,000 feet, something like that. A friend of mine who's on my newsletter list actually wrote to me about his experience down the mine. He had to deliver something down there, and one of the miners took him down underground and said, I want you to have a look at this. They went way down, and he brought out a piece of coal from the side of the wall of the tunnel and opened it up. It was in two pieces, and inside there was a device that very much looked like a spark plug. I know something similar was found in California years ago, and we don't know the whole story of how genuine that is, but this one here was 3,000 feet under, and it looked very much like either a mechanized or an electrical device. It was similar in size and similar in a little way, not totally so, but very similar to a spark plug. That's about the nearest that he could describe it.
You write in Den Men's Secrets about a schematic for a plane found in King Tut's tomb, was it?
Yes, that's right. Archaeologists, of course, have often looked at the pictures from King Tut's tomb and from his the various artifacts that were brought out, and one of the artifacts contained pictures which had been dismissed as not being able to be understood. They were hieroglyphics is not easy to understand. There are some people who are very good at it, and others not so good. And this man, because he was aeronautic in his thinking, he was an aeronautic expert from London. He photographed some things which grabbed his attention. He took them home, studied them further, and he began to build something from the pictures that he was looking at, and he found himself with a flying vehicle. And the structure of it actually flew. Now, soon after this, the British Aeronautical Society was trying to raise money to build a life-scale model of this. I'm not sure how much money they were able to raise or whether they succeeded, but they were in the process of fundraising for it.
That's exciting. You know, have you seen the etchings of what could look like helicopters, a submarine, a plane in Abydos in Egypt?
Yes. Now, if you didn't know that was thousands of years old, you would swear it was a model of one of our own flying craft.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at things like that, you've got to just shake your head. You've got one about an ancient screen projector in Egypt. Tell me about that.
Oh, yes, this was used by the priests of Egypt going back 3,000 years ago, and probably quite a time before that. The people who came to worship Isis and Horus and Seb, there were special temples raised to these gods and goddesses, and to capture to capture the emotions of the worshippers and bring people into their religion. First of all, they would scare the initiates to death with horrible things. When they were being initiated, there would be these ceremonies that would just about terrify them out of their wits. And then that would stop. And suddenly they'd hear a soothing voice. And this was to be the voice of their god Horus. But accompanying that voice, they would suddenly look ahead in the darkened room, and they would see the shape of a face appearing and coming closer toward them. And it was almost like a movie going on. But it was done by means of a projector that actually projected an image, and the projector was moved on wheels through the darkness closer or further away so that the movement appeared to actually take place. It was still slide pictures on transparencies projected on a wall at various distances. And accompanying that would be a musical sound plus a soothing voice saying, "Don't be afraid, I'm here, I'm your God." And they believed that the God had come into the room. And, of course, this is how they became very obedient and trusting,